Hi there, and welcome to another tutorial video for AKCP's Quicklime DCIM thermal optimization software. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can very quickly set up a data center floor plan, create rack maps, and begin assigning sensors to those racks. So we can view a data center in 2D and also in 3D, as well as the racks, the sensors connected to those, the statuses, and the assets that are mounted inside of those racks. So I'm just going to run through how easy it is to actually build up a data center that looks like this. So here under our Maps tab, we're going to go to Add, and we'll select Add Data Center. So we'll give this a name. We'll call this our demo data center. And I'm going to go for a vertical grid, and we can choose our containment type. So I'm going to go for cold aisle containment. And then we can select here our layout. So I'm going to have 10 rows and 4 columns. That would give us a total of 40 racks. And then we can input the parameters of our specific room. This is important if you're going to be doing our sensor CFD. We need the accurate dimensions of the room, floor to ceiling heights, and so on. I'll just go with what we've got here. We press next, and we're going to go to create new racks. Now we can assign a rack prefix. I'm just going to call them racks, and I'm going to use R for the prefix. So that will be R1 through to R40. So we'll go to finish, and that will now run through the creation of this map for us. And there we have it. We now have our demo data center map added here under maps, and we can view this in 3D. Open up our toolbar here, select 3D, and there we have our cold aisle containment and our 40 racks. Now we want to begin to populate these racks and also assign some sensors to these. So we'll go back over to our 2D view, and you'll see here if we double click on one of these racks, so we go to rack number 1 there, and we can now get a view of this rack, and it's an empty rack. It's a new rack we've just put together. We can see all of the 42 U's we've got here. We can begin to add assets to those racks, so you can create assets, and we can assign those to the racks, so we can populate our racks with the various equipment that we have. And we can also assign here sensors. So to this rack, I'm going to connect one of the AKCP thermal map sensors. So we'll go over to our base units here, and on one of these, we'll find we have a thermal map sensor connected. So the thermal map sensor gives you temperature at the front and rear of the rack, top, middle, and bottom, as well as calculating the delta T, and also gives us the humidity front and rear. So I'm going to go to a side view of the rack. So we have the front and rear there. And this is the device where I have one of our rack map thermal maps connected. And I'm going to drag this across onto our rack here. Now it knows that this belongs, and you can see under the name here, this is temperature front middle, temperature front bottom. If I drag across temperature front middle, it knows where it should be. When I drop that into place, it'll ask us if we want to rename this with the rack prefix. We'll say yes. And now it will assign this thermal map to this rack. And there you can see now we've got our temperature values front and rear. We've got our delta T across the rack, and we've also got humidity front and rear as well. Now if we go back to our floor plan view, you can see we're now getting a status color here on this rack. We can go into our action panel, and then we can choose what it is we want to show. So at the moment we're showing air temperature, but we could show ASHRAE boundaries. We can show temperature, humidity, pressure, rack availability. So rack U availability is quite nice. We can find where we have available space to mount equipment. You can see here at the moment, all of our racks are green because we've got plenty of space. If we go over to the other data center that I created earlier, here and we go and open the rack view availability, you'll see that we've got some racks in green, some in red, some in orange, and we've got a little key here that tells you, if it's red, then obviously we have no use available. If it's green, we've got lots of space available, and orange is somewhere in between. So we can go in and take a look at one of these racks, and then you can see here that we've got some use available within this rack. So it's really quite fast to be able to set up your data center, to draw out your floor plan, and then to view this in 3D. It really doesn't take very long at all to get this set up and configured. So I hope that you found this tutorial useful, and I'll see you in our next video.